United stand. How are we all doing this Saturday morning? Liverpool takes care of itself tomorrow. I want to talk about Zidane. I want to talk about Koulibaly. And I want to talk about the latest Manchester United situation here. Because I think many of us are not... I think many people are sleeping on this. Many people are sleeping on this because the reality is Zidane is available. We're all sort of wading through this cesspool of Mourinho's reign at Manchester United. But the reality is Zinedine Zidane is available. Only 2 days ago, Arsene Wenger was saying about Zidane, he needs to go and manage in the Premier League if he wants to be classed as a top manager. Look at what Guardiola's done. Did it in Spain, Germany you don't really need to do, but he's now doing it in the Premier League, and that establishes him as one of the best managers in the world. And Zidane has won back-to-back Champions League 3 times in a row. If he now completes the Premier League, he completes it. Football management completed it. Football career completed it. He's available, and this is something that I think, in the apathy that reigns around Manchester United at the moment, maybe many of us are sort of sleeping on it and going, yeah, who would we like as next manager? Would we like Pochettino in the summer? Would we like Diego Simeone? Would we like Jardim? Zinedine Zidane is available right now. And I think this is something that, you know, Mourinho should be gone as far as I'm concerned. Some of you may still back Mourinho, but he should be gone. Now, if he should be gone, then it's really all about the board. As I've said for a couple of weeks ago, it's about the board now. I am Mourinho out, but it's all on the board now. They should have sacked him at the Newcastle game. God knows why they didn't. They were going to. They changed their mind. That's probably cost us the season. That is on the board. But the reality is, the situation is that Zinedine Zidane is available. He's not in a job. He's sat there available. He's going to get bored over Christmas. He's had 4 months off. Christmas, a bit of charades, bit of Monopoly, few chocolate oranges, bit of mulled wine. He's bored. Get him back into football. Get him back at Manchester United. Absolutely essential as far as I'm concerned. You haven't got to pay any release clause. You haven't got to pay him, you know, to get him out of a club, a release clause or anything like that. He's there available. He's left Real Madrid, contract terminated, left free. Manchester United need a manager. Surely that is the next step for Manchester United. And I really do believe that we need to be, you know, sort of vocal about that. If you want Mourinho out, that's fine. But we also need to be vocal about who we want as our next manager. Because he is sat there and maybe he's looking around. And maybe if we are a little bit vocal about it and we get behind this, one of the best players of the last 30 years in the world. The best manager in the last 5 years, undoubtedly. 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues with a Real Madrid team that people say, oh, it's easy to win it with the Real Madrid. How many times have Real Madrid or Barcelona won 3 times back-to-back Champions League? It's very hard. And if you watch Zidane under Madrid, he was very tactically astute. He changed things. He built a team, not a Galactico. He didn't spend a lot of money. I think he'd be perfect for Manchester United. And I think vocally, if you want change, then he is the man. Let's make him feel it. Let's make him feel like we want him. I want Zidane at Manchester United. And I've been sleeping on it for a couple of weeks as well. I just thought yesterday, he's available. We need a manager. He's available. He won't cost much money. We don't like to spend much money. Get Zidane into Manchester United, 100%. Which brings me on to Koulibaly. I mean, we'll go back to Zidane in a minute. I want to talk about the Alderweireld rumours as well. If you could sign any centre-back now, who would you pick? Says Dylan Walsh. It's almost perfect. It's poetic from Dylan Walsh because it's exactly the right time, and thanks for the contribution. Koulibaly. I've spoken about him probably for 2 years. He's never really been my number 1 choice, but I've always spoken about him in a good light because I watch a lot of Italian football. Very, very strong. Very fast, reads the game very well. If you watch the game against Liverpool in the week, I think that was one of his most impressive performances. He played brilliantly against PSG, but they're a pub league. To come to England, Anfield, and play brilliant. I mean, all right, Salah did skip past him to score the goal, but he stopped loads of goals. And I think his reading of the game, his speed, his strength, his ability on the ball, he's one of those defenders that you know in the Premier League he's going to adapt. And I think he could be, and I hate to say this, look at the significance of Van Dijk going to Liverpool. They spent a lot of money on him. Every £75 million, every penny of that £75 million was justified because he's an absolute rock at the back for Liverpool. And I think Koulibaly could be that for United. Now, I'm not totally made up on the fact that United need a centre-back ahead of a CDM. I think the CDM is the biggest weakness in the team. But if you're off, you know, it's a bit like, you know, do we need another left winger? If you were offered the best left winger in the world, you would take them. And I think Koulibaly, for me, is possibly the best centre-back in the world available at the moment. Like, I like Varane. Van Dijk's obviously very good. There are good centre-backs out there, but Koulibaly is at Napoli. He's at a level that's lower than his ability. He's not 28 till the summer, so he's prime. I think he'd be perfect for Manchester United. And he may cost 100 million, like Nathan Dunstan said. He may cost 75 million. I don't really care because and also I'm going to contradict myself here and say, well, look, yeah, with Jose Mourinho in charge, I thought you said you didn't want us to spend any money in January, but with Jose Mourinho in charge, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the next manager's Conte, me, Nathan, Zidane, whatever. If you buy Koulibaly in January, it doesn't matter if you're planning on sacking Mourinho in the May. We signed Mata in January for Moyes and we sacked him at the end of March. So it doesn't mean anything if you're buying the right quality player. If you go and buy Jerome Boateng because it's a Mourinho signing, that's the sort of signing I don't want in January. I don't want Mourinho signings in January. I want signings that, yeah, Mourinho wants them, but any other manager is going to want them. And any other manager is going to walk into United and say, I'm bloody glad we've got Koulibaly instead of having to play Chris Smalling or Phil Jones. So Koulibaly in January, if it can be done, is a brilliant signing because it doesn't matter what the future is about Mourinho because anybody would want Koulibaly and I think he's absolutely fantastic. Don't think Zidane will want to work with our board, says Patrick Witten. Well, the board, thanks for the contribution, is a matter of itself, isn't it, the board? But what I would say, let's stick with the defenders for a minute because I've got to talk about Alderweireld. But in the case of Koulibaly, what you're looking at is a centre-back there that can come in. He is a leader. He was a leader the other night for Napoli. He's very experienced. He's quick. I like Skriniar. I like Skriniar at Inter Milan. And there are a couple of other centre-backs I like. But my concern about Skriniar is because he plays Italian football, because he might be a defender that comes over and flops. And Koulibaly could come over and flop as well. But I just think Koulibaly's game compared to Skriniar, who I really like at Inter, he just looks more like a Premier League centre-back. He's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got the ability on the ball, and he reads the game really well. And yes, he's probably going to be a little bit more expensive. And I'd be over the moon with Skriniar for the same reasons as Koulibaly. But I think Koulibaly, if United have got any ambitions, that is the centre-back to go and buy. Because he can be our centre-back for 4 or 5 years. And whoever our managers are in that time, he solves so many problems. If Zidane was appointed tomorrow, who do you think his first 3 signings would be? And who do you think he'd get rid of first, as Mark G? It's very hard to say, but I think when you look at how Zidane played football, I think what he'd try... I don't know whether he'd get rid of anybody straight away. I think we'd be waiting until the summer, which is fine, assess what we've got. And I think we would wait till the summer till he wanted to bring somebody in. But I think when you look at Zidane, the strength of that Real Madrid team was Casemiro, Kroos and Modric. You look at Manchester United's midfield and it is imbalanced. I think that's where we struggle. We don't get the ball quick enough from back to front. I know you can say, well, defensively we're poor, but the midfield are a lot to do that. People just breeze past Matic because he's slow and expose our back four. So I think he'd look at that midfield because our best midfield 3 is probably Matic, Herrera and Pogba. Or in Dreamland, maybe it's Matic, Fred and Pogba. I don't think that's good enough to challenge the best teams in England, let alone Europe. So I think he'd have to look at that. And maybe being French himself, he'd look at Ndombele, who I think is a good player of the future. But I think a CDM is absolutely essential for Manchester United. And somebody who's a bit mobile. So I think that's probably what Zidane would do. But let's stick with Koulibaly for a moment. As you can see, the link is the link is in the video description for this. It is Football Index, which, oh no, you can't see it yet. Let me show you. Football Index, link in the video description. So this is like a football game where you've got to be over 18, and please do gamble responsibly because it is classed as gambling, even though it's not like when you put a £10 bet on and you lose that money. This is like buying shares in players. I'm doing fantastically well at the moment. My portfolio, Kevin De Bruyne, as I predicted, I was in negative equity with him. I've now made up £1.5. That's gone up overnight, actually. He's been negative because he got injured and the price will drop when the injuries are down. Ronaldo at the moment is probably, he will go up. He's having a bit of a quiet time. Salah has gone up massively in the last week. He was actually, I'd bought him about a week ago and obviously I hadn't made any money on him. In a week, I've made £8.85. Mason Greenwood's brilliant. Mason Greenwood's a great player to get because he's not even playing first team football, but his price keeps going up. Bale probably wasn't such a good signing. Aubameyang's been a good one. Martial's dropped because he's injured. And look at that. Rashford have made £9.20 with 10 shares in Marcus Rashford. So basically, what you do is you buy players, you buy shares in players, and then prices will go up and down based on whether they're in the media stories, like for transfers and stuff, or how they're performing on the pitch. And as you can see, you've got your top 200 players, got your squad players. But what I want to just have a quick look at, because we're talking about Koulibaly, Koulibaly. Let's just have a look at the price of Koulibaly at the moment. You can buy. See, I might buy myself some shares in him. But it depends if United are going to buy him. His price tracker over the last month has gone up from £2.70 a share up to about £3 a share. he has been up to £3 in the summer because I think there was a lot of transfer activity with him. So, yeah, so he's actually he's going to go up a lot more than that. £3 has been his peak, but he'll keep going up more than that. But yeah, you can buy players in United. You can buy shares in United players if you want to. And effectively, what you need, if you're going to do it, basically, I would say if you've got spare 20, 30, 40, 50 quid, you buy your shares with those players. It's a long-term thing. You can sell and buy short-term, but I look at it with my portfolio. I'm looking long-term. De Bruyne is going to come back from injury. His price is going to go up. Salah was always going to come back from form. His price is shooting up. Mason Greenwood's a player for the future. His price is only going to go up. Aubameyang's started playing regularly. His price is going to go up. And Rashford and Martial, again, they're just players for the future. Bale, I thought, was going to have a good season for Real Madrid. It's not worked out quite as well as I would like to say. But having said that, even if the players drop in price, you're not losing your whole £10 stake. They'll drop by a few pence. Maybe you can sell them, get other people, or you can just keep hold of them and wait for their price to go back up again, which is what I tend to do. So I'm more of a long-term person with it, but already I'm in profit for £23.14. So the link's in the video description for that. I'm really enjoying the Football Index. There's forums and everything you can get involved with it as well. Link in the video description. Give it a go, and especially the United players, it's good fun. And Mason Greenwood, as I've said a couple of times now, he's the player to get shares in because he's relatively cheap at the moment, and his price is going to bang, 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 bang. Anyway, let's come back to this show because I want to talk about Alderweireld. Is Martial fit, says CDL Bro? I don't know. I'm not buying shares in Phil Jones, Gary Anderson. He'll make me redundant. He'll bankrupt me. But the reality is, I think Martial, if he's fit, he will play tomorrow. We won't know till tomorrow now. There's no Mourinho press conference. But just on the subject of Koulibaly, and I also want to just say happy birthday to Jesse Lingard because, and the reason I want to say that is because I put a tweet out this morning saying Jesse Lingard's just turned 26. Some United fans will still say he's a youth player with loads of prospects. Jesse Lingard is a funny player. I think people always I don't know why, because we know he's from the youth setup, but a lot of players are from the youth setup. But he's always spoken about as potential. Now, I like Jesse Lingard. I think, I've seen him playing more centrally over the last few weeks. He seems to have got his game back. He's certainly got a lot of effort. He's got some tenacity. He's picking up yellow cards. I love all that. What I've always said about Jesse Lingard is I've never said sell him. I've always said I don't think he's first team quality if you want to win a title. But what he definitely is for me, he's a squad player. He's a bench player. And you need players like that. And what Jesse Lingard has got, he's got bursts of speed. He's intelligent with his running. I think he's a brilliant player for the last 20 minutes to kill games off or to try and get back into a game. I don't think he's a starter, and I've always said that, and I'm consistent, but I don't want to sell him. I think people took it the wrong way when I said, oh, and some people still think he's a youth prospect. Like I think he's crap. I don't think that. I was just saying it's funny how people still think Lingard is a prospect when he's actually 26 now. But I like him as a player, and I think he's a good squad player, but I just don't think he's a first teamer. But that's my opinion, and I know a lot of people do. But Alderweireld liked a tweet, or an Instagram post last night when somebody had said the targets we should be looking at in January. Koulibaly was mentioned, Alderweireld was mentioned, and Alderweireld liked it. Now, people got very excited. The factors with Alderweireld that concern me is that he's 30 in March. He's definitely declined in the last 12 months. Not massively. He's still one of the best centre-backs in the league, but he's declining. He's losing a bit of pace, and for me, he's not adjusting to that, and that's why he keeps making mistakes. And if you watch the Barcelona game in midweek, he didn't have a very good game, and that's happened quite a lot. Spurs fans are a bit indifferent. They're like, well, if we can get decent money for him, we like him. If he stays and signs a new contract, great. But if he goes and we get good money, let him go, which is always a concern. And I think there's better players out there. I think there's better players out there. And I think Koulibaly's one for one. Skriniar's another one. So Alderweireld for me, and I've been very consistent about this, I don't actually want him. He reminds me too much of a Mourinho signing. He reminds me a lot of Matic and Sanchez, who were ageing players, who were slightly declining, who the clubs they were at were like, we'd like them to stay, but if they go, we're not going to cry about it. And look at Spurs. They've got that young lad. They've got Vertonghen. They've got Sanchez. They've got some good options even without Alderweireld. So I don't want Alderweireld at United. I won't cry if we get him. I think he'll improve us. But how long will he improve us for? 30 in March. We might get 1-2 years out of him. And if he doesn't adjust, he's losing his pace. And now Ferdinand lost his pace. Vidic lost his pace. Top centre-backs will adjust their game. I think Alderweireld is struggling at the moment with losing a bit of his pace and not adjusting his game. He still thinks he can do what he was doing 2 years ago. But for me, I don't want him. I think we'd have to pay maybe 40 million for him, 30, 40 million for him, because he's available for 25 million in August, but that's still 8 months away. So I think Spurs always drive a hard bargain, and I think they would want around 40 million for him. And I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, Jordan Brown says, well, you're saying get Koulibaly 90 million for a 28-year-old, but he's not 28 till June. He's 27 and a half. There's a big difference between 27 and a half and nearly 30. There's 2.5 years there. That could be 30 million a season. So that's why he'd be 90 million. And that's why, for me, Alderweireld 40 million. So there we go. So, no, I'm not massively intrigued by Alderweireld, but I know a lot of you are, which is why I bring it up. And, you know, I think he's definitely interested in getting out of Spurs because he's not going to sign a new contract. And it concerns me that maybe Manchester United would go for Alderweireld because it's the cheaper option. But I have massive concerns. And, I don't ever want to, hide my feelings, and I don't mind being wrong about things, but if I'm right, at least I've said it, and that is that he just reminds me of Sanchez and Matic, and we've got excited about those signings before and they failed, and ultimately they are short-term fixes, and I think Mourinho goes for short-term fixes, and I think United need to be looking longer term. I mean, the ideal signing probably is Skriniar, because he's 22, 23, 10 years. Koulibaly, 27, going to be 28 in the summer, gives you 4 or 5 years. Alderweireld maybe only gives you 2, and that for me is why I don't really want that sort of player, to be honest. But that would be a big no for me. But got people joining in a little bit late. We're just talking about Koulibaly really and Zidane and saying that a club of Manchester United's ambition, and I always say this. If Manchester City were in the situation we're in, or Chelsea were in the situation we're in, they would be looking at this and going, yeah, it's not ideal. It's embarrassing. We are 6th in the league. We're miles off the title. That's gone. We're probably, top 4's probably gone. But you know what? It's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. Because January's here. You can sack your manager and get a new manager at any time you want. And in January, you can make a statement because there are a lot of United fans who've got season tickets who are not going. They're offering their tickets out every week. Now, that should be a concern to the club. So how do you turn that around? I know, get rid of the manager, which will automatically bring some optimism in. And in January, do something major that's not knee-jerk. There is a signing that's going to make fans excited, but also it's a signing for a few years' time. And I think Alderweireld is the sort of signing that is for Mourinho. It's short-term. Koulibaly is a signing, as I say, that you go and get him and he's here for a few years and any manager wants him. And the manager, Zidane, is available. You're going to have to pay 20 million to get... Look, if we're going to have to pay in the summer 40 million to get Pochettino, right? We'll still have to pay Mourinho something, maybe 5 million. So that's 45 million to sack Mourinho and bring Pochettino in. And that's in the summer. And then you've got to find money. And then Pochettino's got to try and sort the squad out in 2 months. What about this situation? Sack Mourinho on Monday, 20 million. Bring Zidane in, wages. It's not going to be as much as 45 million. And so, 45 million to wait till the summer and sack Mourinho and get Pochettino. Sack Mourinho now, Zidane's wages, 30 million probably, all in. So you've already saved money and you're actually getting the club going a little bit quicker. And that's the thing that I don't understand, is that the club are all about money and they obviously want to save money and wait till it's mathematically impossible to get top 4 to sack Mourinho because it's cheaper. But then if they go for Pochettino in the summer, you've got to buy him out of his contract, which could cost 30, 40 million. It's cheaper to sack Mourinho now, and hallelujah, I've said it before, Zidane is available. And Zidane's the better manager than Pochettino on paper. Of course he is. And I like Pochettino, but I think Zidane is the man to go for, and he's available. And this is what I'm trying to get going in your minds, because it sort of fell out of my mind. We sit here in this pity of despair saying, oh, this is not a great situation for United. But these situations can be resolved tomorrow, in the next month. Imagine if, Mourinho got sacked next week because we lose to Liverpool. Zidane comes in for Christmas. He's got Cardiff, Huddersfield, Bournemouth and Newcastle as his first 4 games. I mean, come on. What a great run of games. Then you hit January, you go and get Koulibaly for 90 million. Happy days. Let's build for the rest of the season. Let's see what we're all about. And suddenly we're all positive and we're building towards something. And that's what I'm trying to say. There is no reason for this situation to carry on like it is anymore. We don't need to wait anymore. the money argument is redundant because, yeah, you pay Mourinho 20 million now, 5 million if you miss out on Champions League in March, but if you're going to go for someone like Pochettino, you've got to buy him out of Spurs anyway. Zidane is available and he is free. Go and get him. Go and get him. And the quality, the Koulibaly thing. Well, 90 million's a lot of money, but I mean, Ray Banner. I do like Laurent Blanc. He is free. He is free. I mean, Kieran McCrory says do a video on the new managers that we should get. If you go down to if you go on the homepage of the United Stand and you go down the playlists, you'll see the 4 candidates: Zidane, Blanc, Jardim, Pochettino. I've done the videos already. I did them on the international break before last. It's still relevant now. All your reasons why and why not they'd be good managers, and every one of them are good prospects. Zidane will be learning English. The United Warriors. Please do drop a like on the video, yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, drop a like on the video if you'd like Zidane now. I personally think that's the way to go. And go and get, even if Mourinho survives till January, which I personally think he will, because I think our board is just ridiculous. I would still be saying to the board, like, let's forget the Zidane thing. Let's pretend Mourinho's still the boss. Go and get Koulibaly. If Mourinho's saying, oh yeah, let's get Alderweireld, say no, we're getting Koulibaly. Because Mourinho can't argue with that, can he? He can't. If I want Toby Alderweireld, sorry, you're getting Koulibaly. It's our money. We're getting Koulibaly. Oh, well, I don't want Koulibaly. I want Alderweireld. Shut up. We're getting Koulibaly. He's better than Alderweireld. We're getting Koulibaly. That's what the board should be doing in January. Because Mourinho can't moan then. Mourinho can't moan. The worst thing would be if we went and got Boateng. Imagine if we go and get Jerome Boateng in January. I'm going to cry. Because that would be Mourinho signing all over and there is no longevity. I think he's already 30. Do you think Pochettino will leave if we pay 40 million, says Stuart Marsden? I think if you paid Spurs 40 million for a manager that wants to leave, he will leave. It depends whether Pochettino wants to leave. But 40 million, if he says, I want to go to United, they'll take that. Of course they will. They won't like taking it, but they'll take it because the manager has to force the move. If Pochettino says, I'm happy, then we ain't going to get him. And to be honest with you, new stadium, better team than United, you'd hope that the pull of United would be enough. There is no chance of you getting Koulibaly, you plebs, says Elliot Knight. Well, there's no need to be abusive, Elliot, because you sort of destroy your own argument when you have to stick abuse in there. It makes you come across as concerned and weak and destroys your argument. There is no foundation to say there's no chance of us getting Koulibaly. Money talks. Italian clubs still do need money. Italian football is on the up, but they still do need money. If you went to Napoli and went, there's 90 million, they'll take it. They'll take it in January. They will do, 100%. Napoli haven't got that sort of money. They will take that sort of money for a 27-year-old because he's a centre-back. They're not going to win Serie A. They're in the Europa League. They'll take 90 million. They'll probably take 70 million, to be honest with you, but let's say 90. They'll take the money, 100%. It's whether Koulibaly wants to come to Manchester United, and at the end of the day, he plays for Napoli. Of course, he's going to want to come to United. Dylan Walsh, Koulibaly, Dybala and Icardi, please. Yeah, that'd be a nice 3 to go for. Maybe Zidane would do that. United have got no pulling power now, says Sonny Bradley. Again, a very naive comment. We're Manchester United. We can sign anybody. We signed Paul Pogba with the Europa League football. Manchester United have got pulling power. Manchester United are still the biggest club in the world. They are still the sleeping giant. They are still, whether you are a manager or a footballer, your ego will kick in and go, I want to be the player or manager that goes to that club and turns it around. I want to be associated with turning one of the biggest clubs in the world back to where they want to be. Even more so if you're a manager, there won't be many managers who aren't tempted by United because they'll be like, Sir Alex Ferguson left them with the title. Moyes, Van Gaal, the great Jose Mourinho failed. Imagine what that would be for my CV to take that club back to where it needs to be. It's an ego thing. I mean, if you're playing Football Manager or FIFA, United job's massively appealing because they're not successful. But if you make them successful, it's on you. So, they have got the pulling power. United need Griezmann. No, I wouldn't want Griezmann. Man United says, we can afford Koulibaly. Stop being daft saying we can't get him, says Ander Pereira. United can afford anything. I agree with Dwayne Gordon to a certain extent, though. I must quantify that and say that he's saying Mourinho killed our pulling power. I do agree with Dwayne on that one. I think there is an issue with Mourinho and flair players. I think there would be players saying no to United based on
if you're a flair player, like you're an attacking player, you probably are going to say no to United, to be honest. But that's because of Mourinho. I think if you remove Mourinho and you put Zidane or Pochettino there, then you open yourself up to a lot more players that would want to come, especially flair players. So I do agree with that to a certain point, that who's going to want to sign for Mourinho if they're attacking player, because the evidence is there he's going to destroy you. But defenders I think he'll be okay with, because he tends to improve defenders. But yeah, Mourinho is a bit of an issue. But Mourinho hopefully will be gone at some point. I don't see how Mourinho can be here this time next year. So, you know, whether it's January or not, I think you're not. The thing is, the minute Mourinho goes, I've said this before, next summer will be fantastic for United. We'll all get excited. We'll be disappointed that we're not in Champions League, because I don't think we will be. Mourinho will go, and then in the summer, the club will spend money because they get terrified when they think about 2 years in the Europa League. They'll spend money, we'll get a new manager in, and we'll all be excited. As long as it's the right manager, we'll all be excited. So that's what I think that would happen. Why don't I want Griezmann? Because he's a cretin, really. I used to love Griezmann. I wanted him at the club. I thought he was the ideal number 7, but he led us up the garden path and walked back twice. George Aslandis has made a contribution. Thank you for that. Make sure you smash a like on the video, everybody. And also, just let me remind you as well, that the link in the video description is for Football Index. If you haven't played it, it's the football game where you can buy shares in players all around the world, and their value can increase and decrease. So unlike gambling where you put a bet on United winning tomorrow and you lose your tenner, if you bought £10 of shares in a player and their price goes down, you're only losing a few pence, and you can sell them and get somebody else in quick to win that money back. Or you can buy long-term like I have and get players like De Bruyne, whose price is going up, Mo Salah, Mason Greenwood, Martial, Rashford. They're all in the green, their price is going up. But even the players that are in the red, I've lost a couple of quid here and there, but I will retain them because those prices, I believe, will go up. Link in the video description for that. Remember, you've got to be over 18 and do gamble responsibly. But as I said, it's more of a, if you like Footballer Manager or you like Ultimate Team and you like a bit of a bet, it's buying shares in players. It's a long-term strategy, and most shares are around, you know, between 3 and a tenner for a share in somebody. So if you've got a little bit of money, you know, maybe 20, 30, 40 quid, and you fancy doing something more long-term, there are forums out there that you can, you know, talk to other people about it. I've really enjoyed it. I've been doing it for a few weeks now. And as you can see, I'm already in profit because I know my football. But you could even go and buy some shares in Koulibaly, because his price is going to go up between the next 6 months. He will make a move, and hopefully it'll be to United, and then his price will rocket as well. Links in the video description for that. Give it a go and let me know what your thoughts are. But really enjoyed this show today, and of course tomorrow. Thanks for the contribution there. Who was it? No, it wasn't. Really excited about tomorrow, which is why I thought I'd do something a little bit transfer related, just to throw a little bit of positivity out there that Zidane is available and we can sign Koulibaly, and the onus and vocality needs to come from us to say, why are we not doing it? Because our board need to start doing things to get our club back to where it needs to be. I said this in the summer, I will not allow our expectations as a fan base to drop. And they are dropping, and I'm not going to let it happen. I'm going to keep putting it on the agenda. I'm going to keep saying, why don't we go and get Zidane? He's available. Why don't we spend money and get Koulibaly? There's, you know, you don't always have a situation. You can say you need a centre back, you can say you need a CDM, but you don't always have those players available. You know, what if all the centre backs, the best centre backs, were at all the big clubs? What if all the good CDMs were at all the big clubs? Well, Koulibaly is not at a big club. He is available. You know, he could be to us what Van Dijk did to Liverpool. And I think he could. Go and spend the money and get the player, because they're not always available. And this is what I mean. We can all wallow in self-pity, or you can try and climb out the bucket of shit and change things. And I think we do need to do that. And the options are there. You know, why do we need to be moaning about, oh, well, could be 8th, we're going to lose this. Well, we probably are in this current situation, but the current situation can change very quickly. And I think the club need to start doing that. Get Zidane, get Koulibaly, start building our club again, because things can change very, very quickly. Thanks everyone for watching. Drop a like on the video. Remember, we've got watch along, fan cams, everything. And if you've not watched our preview or anything like that, there's lots of content for you. And finally, have a go on Football Index. Link in the video description. I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you are interested in our next few managers, go to the homepage, go down the playlists, and you'll see 4 videos I did about 4 candidates of managers. If you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it. See you soon. Have a crack on Football Index, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.